Hi everybody, it's Dawn here, and today in this video I'm going to be talking about divination but using ordinary six-sided dice. So if you're interested in widening your divination practice and you're a little bit intrigued by this, let's get into this now. Now, dice divination isn't new. It stretches back a couple thousands of years, really. Now, its formal names are astragalomancy or cleromancy. And originally, the dice were made of animal bones, which had inscribed on them letters or numbers. But today, we don't have to worry about animal bones. We can repurpose our gaming dice like these. So for today's video, I'm going to be sharing the practice of reading numbered dice, but in a future video, I am going to show you how to use spirit dice, which have letters on them instead of numbers, and they're really cool to play with. Now, like anything, there are variations, and as usual, I'm going to share the practice that I was taught and the practice that I've evolved over time and used to this day. So you are going to need a couple of dice like these, a surface, and a casting perimeter, but more on that in a moment. Now, many people use the simple six-sided dice like these. Each side has dots on them from 1 to 6, and they denote the numeric value of the side. Others use a gaming dice, but I use these normal ones, and you've probably got a set similar to this that you can repurpose. Now, in this divination practice, you can just use one dice. To cast, you can use 2 dice and up to 5 dice. Now, 1 dice has 6 divination meanings, 2 has the potential for 9 different meanings, and 3 dice gives you up to 18 potential divinatory meanings. Now, those practitioners that use 5 dice, well, it gives the potential for 30 different meanings. However, what are the odds of you rolling 5 6s to get to that 30? Probably slim. Now, this is why I don't usually use 5 dice, but if I do, I will total the number of all the dice together and reduce the double digits down to a single digit by adding them together. Now, of course, you have that option of reducing double digit totals down to a single digit for any of your casting sessions. So my advice is to be guided by what you feel is right at the time of the cast and trust your intuition. But don't worry, I am going to show you a few examples of casts using different numbers of dice and techniques at the end of this video. So stay tuned and keep watching. Now, in the description below, you'll see that I've included the 18 divinatory meanings. Now, if you're planning to cast with 5 dice, you may wish to add to those meanings so that you have 30 potentials. But whatever system you use, remember, let's not be rigid about the divinationary meanings. You can create your own divinationary meanings for each number and don't have to stick to anything prescribed. Now, I want to briefly talk about the casting perimeter. So to do this, you can draw a circle on a piece of paper or have a cloth on the table. Now, generally, it's recommended that the circle or the cloth is around 8 to 12 inches across. And both can be used as a casting perimeter. And what we mean by that is that any dice that falls outside the established perimeter isn't included in the reading. Now, if none fall within the perimeter, that tells you it's not the right time for the divination. Now, some people do ascribe meanings to those dice that fall outside, but I don't do that. I'd simply discount any that are outside of the perimeter. So let's talk about preparing to cast. Well, you're going to get everything you need together. And I like to clear the tools and the space energetically before I perform any form of divination. And to do that, you can use sacred smoke, sound, Reiki, or even just a loving intention from your heart. Take a little time to center and ground your energy. Maybe take some nice deep breaths in and out and set your intention. I like to ask that I am a clear and open channel for the information that I'm seeking and that I am guided for the highest good of all. So when you're ready, you then pick up your dice, however many you're using, and you roll them around your cupped hands like this, thinking of your question. Now, you can ask aloud or you can ask in your head. Now, I do think that there's power when we use our outside voice, so maybe recommend asking your question out loud. Now, some people like to use a cup to shake the dice, but I like to use my hands. There's something visceral about that. And when you're ready, you simply cast your dice, you open your hands, drop them on the surface, and then interpret the numbers. And as I said before, let's not be rigid with the meanings. You can just use them as a bridge to your intuition. You can allow yourself to explore the fullness of the message by tapping into your intuition. And of course, you can also cast again if further questions arise for you. So now I'm going to show you a few different casting approaches using different dice numbers. So come along with me now. So as you can see here, I have my casting perimeter. So this little cloth which I got from the dollar store. And I've got a nice surface to cast on, and I've got a selection of dice. So I'm going to show you how to cast. So let's start with one. And so what you'll do is you'll ask your question, you'll hold it in your hand, or maybe in a cup if you're using a cup, and kind of shuffle it around, and then you're just going to drop it. And we have here the number 2. So you will read the divinationary meaning associated with number 2. And in this case, although we've not asked any question, it's talking about duplicity and things not being quite what they seem. Of course, you might want to dig in a little bit more, ask a few more questions by, kind of drilling in a little bit and clarifying it with each cast. Now, I think 1 dice is a little bit limited, so I like to work with 3 dice. So I'm going to show you how to work with 3 dice. So you ask your question, you roll them around, and you're going to drop them there. 3 6s, that might be a good gambling throw, but I'm not gambling today. So 3 6s, and that's the maximum number you can get on a 3 dice divination. Now, you can choose whether or not you want to read it as 18, or you could reduce it down to a single digit and read it as 9. And you get to choose that, and I would say be guided by your intuition. And then, of course, if you need some further clarity, you can drill down a little bit further. You can ask another question, drop your dice, and here we've got 13. So again, we could read it as 13, or we could read it as a 3 and a 1, meaning 4. You get to choose. Now, if you roll the dice and something comes off like that, I just put it to one side. I don't read it, and I would only read those numbers there. And then, of course, you can use 5 dice. Now, 5 dice, it's a bit hard to do this one-handed. Now, I don't work with 30 divinationary meanings, so because I've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So remember, I can read it as 6, or I can read it as 15. So there you have it. I hope I've inspired you maybe to raid your children's game boxes and get yourselves some dice so that you can practice some dice divination. I'd love to hear about your practice or your experiences, so please do drop a comment below. And if you're interested in other divinationary practices, check out this playlist here. Ta-ta for now.